So according to case law, I've been doing some research on judicial immunity, and I found a golden nugget. So according to case law, what they've stated and disclosed in case law, judicial immunity comes from the monarchy and that hierarchy. And under the monarchy of Britain or UK, the king or the queen is God. They're the head of the church in England, and they are considered to be the same as God. We don't have that here. We have what's called a constitutional republic, and that they carried over the common law doctrine of judicial immunity also carries over the doctrine that the king is God and or above reproach and or not to be questioned and or should rule without fear because they only answer to God. That's bullshit here. The case law also says that judges, because of judicial immunity, cannot be sued even in cases where they have exhibited malice or corruption. I posit that judicial immunity in and of itself is malice and corruption against the people who depend on a judicial system to uphold justice, which it currently does not. I also posit that judicial immunity in and of itself and its operation is a disability under the Americans with Disabilities Act, because the courts use the 4 prohibited acts, coercion, intimidation, threats, and interference, as their main operating system. For anybody who's not in court on a regular basis, such as a lawyer, and even lawyers experience this sometimes, those tactics shut down your communication. Also, it substantially impairs your communication, but it also substantially impairs thinking, concentrating, speaking, reading, comprehension, interacting with others, caring for yourself, and more. And that's a problem, because the court, by its very operation and the judicial immunity of not being able to hold judges accountable, is a disability under the ADA. It doesn't matter if you have no other disability. Stepping inside of a courtroom is an imposed disability. And when I heard Bandy Lee talking in Arizona the other day about the New Jersey court, Bergen County, and the goings on there, and how courts have turned into situations worse than prison, I was clapping. I was ecstatic that someone with her credentials and her pedigree was proclaiming this message. She actually reminded me a lot of Dr. Huffer. Dr. Huffer was very soft-spoken, and this is not any kind of a derogatory remark on Dr. Huffer. I felt like she was a little meek. And I also felt like she still believed in, quote, the integrity of the judiciary and the decorum and his honor, her honor, all that bullshit. And Dr. Lee has had enough. Not speaking for her, but there's a lot of people that have had enough. And it was awesome to see her talking so directly and matter-of-factly about how the court systems have turned into corruption. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again right now. We will have a justice system when corrupt judges swing by the neck on Courthouse Square. Not until they're accountable for their acts and fully accountable, we do not have a justice system. What we have are people in black robes purporting to be the same as God, who would dare hold us accountable while themselves avoiding this accountability that they're pushing on us. So we have people who are immune from accountability, demanding accountability from those in front of them. That's horseshit. That's not an even scale, and it's not a fair system. There's also a case law, and I'm putting together a document on this because I want to put this out in a video, and I want to put it out in an article. I want to push this issue. There's also an article, or not an article, but a case that says what the people abide exists. And it's time for all of us to no longer abide judicial immunity and demand a harsh remedy to balance the scales that have been unbalanced for so long. We can't just allow judges to be sued. We have to have judges who, when they do certain acts, and if they're found liable in a civil action, they're to face criminal charges. This can't be sidestepped. Not if we're going to have a justice system. And so I can tell you this from my own experience, the most table turning act I've ever done was to go into a courtroom and tell the judge, I do not trust you to be impartial, fair, or adjudicate without bias. I mean, it floors them. They don't know what to do. There's a doctrine, actually a writ called Quia Timet, Q-U-I-A-T-I-M-E-T. It means because he fears. And you can actually use this writ and the doctrine to pursue the anticipation of future harms. And I've used this document in court cases about 5 different times. And I've seen judges get up and walk off the bench 4 of those times. One of them was in my own case in North Carolina. And in that case, I accused the court of collusion on that document because I went to the record and showed where he asked my adversary, I was facing the Assistant Attorney General of the state at the time. He asked my adversary a question. My adversary, Grady Ballantyne Jr., did not know the answer to the question. So the judge went and looked it up for him and gave him the answer. I'm telling you right now, judicial immunity has to end. It is not fair. And if you go into a court and don't disclose that you don't trust the court, you're going to get fucked.